7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, but if you're not looking out your window, the new one we got is very quiet.
Could you talk
But
to
at
her
any
about
rate,
that? Because
I'll
she's
talk to
getting
you.
estimated.
Okay.
That's obvious because she said it's $56. Ma'am, could you see Ms. Batten? She'll answer that for you, for your concerns, okay?
Good evening. Kiana Belcher, Dalton resident. I have a couple of questions, and I'm going to try to stick to my 3 minutes as quickly as possible, and I guess you'll address me at the end. But every head of house came up here saying what they can cut, which is going to affect us as Dalton residents. Nobody has said what y'all going to cut. Now, y'all had something that was implemented where you supposed to give a 10% contribution back. What was asked. Is that correct or incorrect? Or you going to wait to the end? All right.
No, you said 10% contribution from all the trustees. You heard the trustees saying they would give back 10%?
Right.
That's what you heard all the trustees.
I asked you. I'm asking the question.
Okay,
but you answer it at the end. That's
Yes,
fine. So, I said this at a board meeting, but Trustee Stubbs just got up here and said she's willing to, if it was a pay cut. Your salary is $14,500. Y'all get more than half of that as an expense, what could be cut. That doesn't have to go through any type of legislator or anything. It can be cut. You said there was a state statute. There's an ordinance that was put in for you to get insurance, but as the trustees, you can change the ordinance like you change everything else. Now, all these cuts, if we just bare minimum took out your expenses, because most of the time y'all get the money and then still come back with receipts asking for it back, we'll get $80,400 from all 6 of y'all. We haven't even talked about the mayor. We'll get $21,000 or $25,000 for health. I'm just saying in general. We'll get that contribution that y'all pay into the MIMRF, which you shouldn't because you're not retiring from here because you're part-time. So there's $109,009 that can be saved. Nobody has said anything about that. But you sitting here talking about y'all not gonna cut our trees, y'all gonna take away stuff for the sidewalks, which all is affecting me as a Dalton resident. I have a problem with that, seriously, because it's not fair. You can answer my question.
That's it? Okay. You mentioned about all the trustees saying they were going to take a 10%.
It was asked about a contribution, I said.
I don't recall that.
Mr. House,
Hold on.
Trustee House.
Let me answer for me.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I remember there was a furlough that was done some time ago.
Okay.
Now, unless you're conflating
Yes,
that
okay.
with what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And there was only a couple of trustees that went to do that. I believe it was Trustee... Oh, you know them. Who are they? Yes.
Who was it?
House, Trustee Pearson and Trustee Stubbs had contributed 10% of their salary for September of 2017.
And the clerk, I think the clerk gave something. Didn't the clerk give something back?
didn't he?
Okay, but that's the portion that's what
Okay,
you're referring to.
so there were 3 trustees that did that.
Let me finish. I never agreed to giving a
sure you
10% to that, because when you say the trustees and
Okay,
the other
I'm
trustees
sure,
can
I'm
speak
sure.
for
Okay,
themselves on
go
that,
ahead.
and then I'll answer your other one.
All right.
You already know I didn't. Yeah, no.
It was...
At the time there was a furlough that was put in place, and I voted against the furlough. However, with it being put in place, I felt that as the board, if we're going to impose that on the staff, we should do it ourselves.
Thank you.
Okay, you had a couple others here. You said $25,000 in insurance, that we could change the insurance like we change everything else.
It's the
I'm
ordinance.
paraphrasing.
It's the ordinance, not
That
a
we can
state statute,
That we
sir.
can change the ordinance for the insurance of the $25,000.
Yes.
Again, all of that can be done once a person is elected. You can't do it in the midterm of your tenure. You cannot do it in the middle. Like, for example,
It's not a state statute,
well,
sir.
whether it's an ordinance or a state statute, you cannot change it in the middle of your term. You can only do it at the swearing in is when you could do it. And that was based on the attorney telling me that when I came into office.
Okay, so this is the 2019 budget, correct?
2018-19
This
budget,
is
yeah.
the 2019 budget that we're
yes.
going over.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's about to be trustees elected, correct or incorrect?
That is correct. In
Oh, okay.
February,
Thank you
well,
very
it depends. If it's February, if the mayor gets his say-so, it may be March.
Whichever way it is.
And
It'll be
then
new
at that
trustees
time,
coming in,
the
correct?
trustees at that time can choose whether or not to take the insurance or the salary, which is $25,000. Let me make
But the
another
ordinance
correct.
can be
Let me
replaced
answer
before
your
it
other
happens,
correct. You
correct?
said we get $14,000 and the other in expenses.
$14,508.
The IRS looks at that as income. $24,999. And let me answer your question, Ms. Belcher. $24,999.99. The reason why I know is because I'm on Social Security, and that's the amount that I pay in. So that's the amount that we get paid. That's with the so-called expense account. IRS, the U.S. Department of Treasury, looks at that as income. They don't look at it as some expense account. They look at that as your total gross income.
Trustee House, can you explain why you guys are getting paid your expense included in your salary outside of it being a separate entity?
Ms. Redmond, correct me if I'm wrong on this one. My understanding is the expense account is being treated as income as a, I don't want to say as a way, because we do not return in receipts for it. If we were to turn in receipts, we would get repaid dollar for dollar. Right. But since we do not turn in receipts for things that we do throughout there, it's treated as income to make sure that there's no circumventing paying taxes.
So we give them $13,000, someone's salary. They have no receipt, so they can do whatever they want to and still get a company phone because it's listed as a income instead of actually putting it at what it is. I'm done. Thank you.
Good evening. I've been a resident since April of this year.
I'm done. I'm done. Personal attack. I'm going to answer this question. The reason why. Well, that's. You're right. You're right. You're right, Ms. Butler. You're absolutely right, Ms. Butler. So I'll let that go. If he wants to continue to think that I spent $80,000, but it was the mayor that shut it down. Yes. To answer, you're absolutely right, Ms. Butler. Yes, ma'am. 3 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. Board, residents, mayor. I might need more than 3 minutes.
Lord have mercy.
And this is about the finance. Okay. I'm not in favor of taking out a bond. I'm in favor of making cuts and try to increase revenue. We owe the city of Chicago, and this is the truth. This is reality. $8.3 million. We don't want to end up in receivership like the city of Harvey. A girlfriend of mine told me maybe 3 weeks ago that their trash wasn't picked up. Okay? This is real. You can forget all the personalities. Who shot John? This is real. And the residents have to pick up this burden because in 2014, it was decided by the mayor, he didn't bring it to the board, for us to agree to vote on to pay this bill. I have the paperwork. Okay, I'll bring it at the next board meeting and get all the residents a copy because I believe in black and white. Excuse me. It had your signature on it, sir. Okay.
Mayor, would you please let her have her 3 minutes?
Okay, I'm not here to go back and forth with you. And also, I want to talk about lawsuits. The mayor also filed a claim against the Village of Dalton and received $23,000 in compensation for that suit with the water issue. Okay? So when we all start pointing fingers and telling on everybody, I want us to look in the mirror and tell on ourselves also. Also, I want to ask the question of the board, the committee, about municipality collections where you anticipate on
MCOA.
right, and anticipate on $300,000, and it was decreased to $127,000. That's when we sent out letters, or organizations sent out letters in our behalf, where they collect funds. They get 35% of whatever they collect. And I looked over the last 5 years of what we collected, and this year it was anticipated through Ms. Redmond's calculation for us to collect the $300,000, and we decided, Deborah Denton and I met, we went over the budget. You also had $35,000 in the budget for the sidewalks, the 50-50 program. I asked for that to be taken out because it looked like the only person that reaped the benefit from that is business owners. Also, Ms. Williams, that live on Grant Street, came up here and stated that she spent $10,000 on her sidewalk. So why couldn't the residents have the luxury of the 50-50 program? Also, I've asked Ms. Scott, that live on 155th in Dorchester, that's in a wheelchair, handicapped, cannot get out of her house. Her sidewalk is tore up, and I've been asking for months and months for that lady's sidewalk to be taken care of if the village could accommodate her. That has yet to be done. But as I ride through the village, all the other, I think it was 9 on the list, plus the $17,000 that the trustees didn't vote on, that was fixed. And this senior couldn't get hers done. Also, I want to talk about if you allow me just a minute, if you allow me to speak on the behalf of Kathleen Elliott. The trustees elected her to be our attorney.
Legislative counsel.
Okay, let me tell you, I voted for that because a judge told our village attorney, Mr. John Murphy, that he could no longer be part of a case because it was a conflict of interest, and he knew it was a conflict of interest. How can you represent the police department on one hand, and then crucify the police officer on another hand? So the judge asked John Murphy to remove himself, and so therefore that was one of my reasons for hiring legislative councils, which we are entitled to by law for the trustees to have to represent them. I looked at the budget. I went down every line item myself on numerous occasions. Yes, I did look at it with Marlo Kemp. Also, I have my own budget where I pay my bills. And I am very capable of reading the different line items, asking questions, and I email Ms. Redmond and inquire about certain things on numerous of occasions that I have issues with on this budget. And I am not in favor of borrowing money to pay off a debt, and we are $8.3 million in the hole, and we have to make cuts. Is it personal? No, it's not personal. This is business. This is business when I go out in the street and take care, see about a resident. This is business. This is not personal with me. Then I see a sheet that came out with about the trustees' salaries. You know, I don't know the period of time when the trustees can vote to reduce their salaries, and I don't have a problem with that. It was also made in a statement in various meetings that I take money, Miss didn't take money, and that's an untruth. I prepared myself when I was a young woman at the age of 26 because I prepared ahead of time because one day I was looking forward to retiring. And this is just like this budget. You have to prepare yourself down the line for the next 5 years. I don't have to take anything. I get a good salary from the job that I worked for 30 years, and I made investments. So I don't have to take anything from anyone. And for someone to even think that, you know, should come to me and let me show them how I manage my money. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee.
Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry for the blurting out. Trustee Muhammad, although you're acting a little short with me today, it's okay. But one of my questions was, I mean, I know it's not imperative for Mr. Kemp to have been here tonight, but why wouldn't he, seeing that we're discussing a budget that he also put together with our finance director here? I find that to be really a little short. I'm not done. One moment, please. But my question actually is, because we're making necessary cuts, and I'm sorry if this will hurt anybody, but as far as I know, you guys are part-time, is that right? I just don't understand, why is it that you're receiving medical benefits being part-time, seeing you're not entitled?
I'll answer all your questions at the end. So
I'm done.
Okay, so your two questions. Number one, Mr. Kemp. He should be here, correct?
That's not important.
Did you have a question about
Mr.
Mr.
Muhammad,
Kemp?
please.
So you didn't have a concern about Mr. Kemp?
I would rather you answer the question about the medical insurance that this village is paying for you when you're not entitled to it, seeing that you're part-time. Answer that question.
I can let Ms. Redmond answer that, because the statute states, and it was started by, I believe, Mayor Shaw. He instituted the $25,000 per year annum payment, which included Blue Cross Blue Shield. That was here before we came in. But a trustee, at any opportunity when they get first elected, they can waive that. So it's not like when you say you're not entitled to by state statute, we're entitled to just by state statute. There's a primary and a general election. We have what we call 4-year terms. You know, a person can't just come and say, we want you to have 2-year terms, and then our attorney pays for that. So when you say entitled to, it's already in the ordinance that we're paid $25,000.
Right. Let me ask Ms. Redmond. Ms. Redmond, is it necessary for our trustees to have that that insurance, seeing that they are only part-time?
The only thing I can speak on regarding that is that policy was in place when I got here 3 years ago.
Okay. So, but it's not necessary then, is that correct? I understand you're saying that the policy was there, was already in place, but it's not necessary, because as far as I know, most trustees in other villages don't get that privilege. I'm trying to see how is it that they've become so privileged. And I understand that this has been in writing or whatever, but I think as a resident, I really don't feel that my money should be paying for your medical benefits, seeing that you're part-time. And on top of that, you're not listening to the voice of majority of the people that are here anyway. So I definitely don't feel comfortable with paying your medical salaries, especially after the fact that you don't listen to the people who put you there. That's all.
Thank you.
I'm just a resident.
Yes, ma'am.
And I do have I have a recommendation to the village as far as maybe cutting back and saving some money.
Yes, ma'am.
We have students that have to do community hours.
You mean for an infraction of the law, that type of thing?
Yeah,
yes,
in order for them to graduate, from what I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, we can take some of those students and put them with streets.
Public Works.
And let them earn the community hours without pay to help clean the village up, with maybe picking up the leaves and the dirt and the stuff like that. And then my next concern is with the water bill. Now, I haven't seen a meter reader in a while.
How long you been here?
In the village?
A resident here, yeah.
Since 1989.
Okay. 30 years.
30 years. I've been here 30 years. And I live on Cottage Grove. I haven't seen a meter reader, nor have I seen a water bill. I haven't, and I get the mail. If I don't get the mail, my husband gets the mail. The water bill goes over our key ring, because that's the first thing he looks for is his water bill. We got a copy of our water bill, which is exceedingly high for me, just to me, because it's only 2 of us. I don't water my grass. I wash twice a month because it's only 2 of us.
How much is your bill that you just received? You hadn't, this is the first bill you've received in 30 years?
No, now, come on, you know, I'm just saying I haven't seen a water bill in a while. Now,
This last, how much is your last bill?
my next bill is due, it's $164.25, which he's going to pay tomorrow.
And you saying that's exceedingly high
For me,
compared to
yes,
what-
it is.
It's
Just for
usually
2
how much,
people.
like $56, $57?
Yeah, something like
What
that.
you can do, as soon as you finish, ma'am, see Miss Batten, and she'll explain to you why that is. But I want to answer your first concern about these young people. They do go to Melanie Fitness when they have that, when they get a fight at school or something like that. They go. I think it might be a liability issue with the Public Works Department. I'm not sure of that. Maybe the mayor can answer that for you, or somebody else.
But is there a program?
There might be a liability issue with them being out there.
There's a program in place. We get people from community service all the time. They go to public works, they go out with Mr. Dick.
Melanie Fitness.
So, no, we get community service students and residents all the time from the courts, and they go out with Public Works and Brian Thigpen, and we have to sign off on their hours. So
can I have
we get them on a regular
Yes,
basis.
ma'am. Go ahead. You got
my
it.
next question? Who can I call regarding this bus stop that's in front of my house? I live 15649 Cottage Grove, and I have a bus stop in between my house and my neighbor's house. Now, they throw beer bottles, beer cans, paper. They dump all their garbage there.
Ma'am, I just want to intervene. This, actually, we're supposed to stick to finance, but
That
you can
is
talk.
fine.
You can talk to us about the bus stop.
Okay.
The bus stop
Then my
thing.
next thing
You had
is,
another one. Yes, ma'am.
my last one is, I just need to see, and I'll speak with the lady if, as far as my water bill is
Miss
concerned.
Batten, she's right there.
Yeah,
in the
because
purple.
if this is a finance thing, and another thing too, the street cleaner, y'all say y'all just rented
a brand new- no, we got
a brand new one. When will I see that?
Good question. I didn't know we had a new one. I mean, I'm not saying we don't. I didn't know we had.
Some of the things that you mentioned, you may not see. Streets, they start like at 7 o'clock.